Welcome back. The denigration of Haitians in the U.S. and the systematic destruction of Haiti as a country are rooted in white supremacy and slavery. In September 2022, Amnesty International, a human rights watch group, wrote U.S. authorities have subjected Haitian asylum seekers to arbitrary detention and discriminatory and humiliating ill treatment that amounts to race based torture. In September 2021, under the Biden administration, we had photos of Homeland Security agents on horseback using their reins to drive Haitian migrants back. They were trying to bring food to their relatives. The scene looked like it was ripped out of a page of slave history. The slave driver on horseback whipping the enslaved. During the 2024 election campaign, President 47 and DJ Vance spread lies that the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, were eating pets. Demeaning or lying about the food choices of other people has always been a tool of white supremacy. For example, in the 19th century, on the west coast of the U.S., the Chinese immigrants were accused of eating pets, and this was a part of the justification for the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. The relationship between the U.S. and Haiti dates back to before either countries were known by these names. In 1779, during the American War of Independence, 545 black men from Haiti, called the Chasseurs Volontaires du Sang-de-Mang, fought on the front line on behalf of the U.S. in the siege of Savannah. A monument was erected to them in 2007 or 2009. When Louisiana was a colony of France, later a colony of Spain, between 1790s and 1809, large numbers of Haitians of African descent came to Louisiana. More immigrants from Haiti came during the Haitian Revolution. Free blacks and enslaved blacks fled to places like New Orleans, Norfolk, Baltimore, and New York City. Jean-Baptiste Point de Sable was a trapper who settled on the shores of Lake Michigan and established a trading post that later became the city of Chicago. In New York City, we had Pierre Toussaint. I have a video about his family. But the real issue between the U.S. and Haiti has always been because Haiti was the first black-led republic and as such was a symbol of black power and resistance. Haiti is one of the kryptonites of white supremacy. Haiti is an Arawak or Taino word meaning body of lands. The indigenous inhabitants were Arawaks, Tainos, and Caribs. Columbus, the clueless, landed on it in December 1492. And he called it Little Spain or Hispaniola. In less than 20 years, the Spaniards disseminated the indigenous population, reducing them from about 300,000 to 500. They did this through disease, hard labor in gold mines, slave labor, and extreme cruelty. In 1510, the Spaniards bought and enslaved West Africans to labor in the gold mines. In 1625, the colonizing French arrived and fought with the Spaniards for the country. In 1697, a treaty was signed and the western half went under Spanish rule, and the French half was called Saint-Domingue. The forced cruel labor of an estimated 500,000 enslaved Africans on cotton, sugar, and coffee plantations made Saint-Domingue or Haiti the most prosperous colony in the New World. It was called the Pearl of the Caribbean. Between 1791 and 1804, the black-led Haitian Revolution was led by men such as Toussaint Louverture, a moderate, pragmatic leader, and more radical leaders committed to black self-determination, such as Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who reportedly said, "Cut off their heads and burn down their houses." On January 1st, 1804, in the Declaration of Haitian Independence, Dessalines said, "My name has become a horror to all those who want slavery. Despots and tyrants never utter it unless to curse the day I was born." The white supremacist reflex to dismantle the first black-led republic was almost immediate. In 1805, Napoleon requested and the US complied and declared an international trade blockade against Haiti. The Southern congressional members, viewing Haiti as a threat to slavery, and it was, in the South, they banned the use of the word Haiti in the Capitol building. In 1825, intent on impoverishing Haiti, the French King Charles X arrived with a fleet of ships and threatened to burn the capital of Port-au-Prince if President Jean-Pierre Boyer refused to pay $150 million francs in reparations for Haitian liberation, which is the equivalent of $21 billion today. Haiti is still paying off this debt. The U.S. did not recognize Haitian independence until 60 years later in 1862. J'aime l'Haïti, rebuild Haiti, reparations for Haiti. Thanks for listening.